I'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity podcast. And today we're going to be going through kind of a working session on GAR. And so, what is GAR? It's the Goal Action Review white paper. And so, people are struggling with this a lot. And so, so you see goal here. What's the goal? What goal do I have in life? And so, when we got married, my wife was 19 and I was 20. And my parents weren't real big into goals, writing them down, New Year's resolutions, like none of that. And so a driver personality probably is just naturally gifted at that. They're just drawn to goals, like they just like goals. And so here you'll notice that there's a little G goal, and then there's a lot of actions. It was weird a few years ago, for the first time in my life, I went ahead and read an article about people who talk about their goals a lot tend to not achieve their goals. And I'm like, what? And the psychologist, the theory was from the psychologist is that they get a dopamine hit talking about their goals. And it's a lot easier to talk about goals and actually do the work of achieving a goal. So if you gain just as much benefit about talking about goals, well, then you don't have to do the work of achieving them. So this morning, what I did is I went in and I tweaked this. So here's awakening, ownership, work, and care. Here's the internalization model. Here's the engineer clarity model. Mm-hmm. So, what is a goal you desire to achieve? Have any of you done this yet? Step one.
On the GAR?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, where do I find it?
Oh,
I
in
have
here. Sorry, go ahead.
I have not.
Okay. So in here in Life GPS, so you know, oh, in here, I go in and I go to the coffee connection. And then, you all have different roles. Now, Dale, we don't have in here yet. We should get him in here. I think he might be part of my friend group, but not part of the coffee connection. And so we should get a coffee connection in Florida. Does anybody know why? Because Florida's warm in the winter and I want to go. So I need a reason to go there. So if there was a coffee connection, that would probably be my reason. I'm serious.
And then we'll play pickleball.
Right? Like big time. So here is what's called the ARRT tree, the atomic ripple reaction tree. This was discovered, developed, created a number of years ago by Emily with Life Masteries Institute and myself. And we were working on a project to bring peace to the Middle East, serenity to self, and develop this system. So it actually comes from the concept of a nuclear bomb. Just the coolest project. So I'm like, how do you bring peace to the Middle East? I don't know where. I'm like, well, what if I study a nuclear bomb and how it works? So you have 31 different roles here in the ARRT. So the first role is the founder. And the second, so the founder is role 0. And then role 1 is going to be goal setter. This is Cheryl. 1 to 10, how would you rate, how well this is going, Cheryl?
Are you asking like overall?
Sure.
I do a good job on setting a goal. I don't do so good of a job following through, making sure people are trying to reach that goal.
Okay.
And there's not a lot of response to that.
Right. Right. So, so Cheryl could choose, like Dale asked, when he jumped on, he said, "How are you doing today?" I said, "It depends how I look at things." And so Cheryl could say the same thing. So, how is this going for you? She could say, "It depends how I look at it." So, how does
Mhm.
she want to look at it today? She could feel good about, at least she knows her role. That's more than a lot of people do. And so how do I think things are going in this area, Cheryl?
In just the goal setting area or the
That's,
art role?
I'm fine with either one.
I don't think you think it's going very well,
If I want it to change, that's what I need to think. If I want it to, if I'm happy with how it is, it'll stay how it is. It's
right?
not going to move. If I become unhappy, if I'm not satisfied, then it's going to move. It's a choice I get to make. And so Marla is the, founder of this, and then Carol's the goal setter. My role is the wizard, roll 30. The wizard's the coolest role. You all ought to aspire to the wizard. So the wizard hopefully doesn't have to really do anything. When you get the art tree or the art pod, the first 7 rolls going, then the wizard doesn't even have to be around. They show up when they want to show up. It's a role to aspire to. So so then we have Luke, who's the follow up, so roll 2, and so we have roll 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 are open. So
Probably
12,
have to reassign roll 10 for now.
okay. Ooh, we could give that to Dale. Biggest
Okay.
challenge, the dollars. That's coming up on the white paper. So these roles are all connected into white papers. So something's not working on the GAR. So what I did is, Cheryl, I went in and I tweaked this morning before this podcast. So why is my goal important to myself and others? That wasn't there before. So somehow it's not being internalized. You're not seeing this process like Rosanna sees her flower garden.
Okay, what did you change in the GAR?
Number 2, I added, why is my goal important to myself and others? Before it was, what actions do I need to take to achieve the goal? But then I'm thinking, well,
Oh, there it is.
I'm like thinking, well, if people don't understand the importance, like if we get it, we get it. See, the 60, I don't know. Are we going to hit the 60 for the coffee connection? It would seem to me, no, we're not. Is anybody going to care?
I'm
Probably
gonna
not.
care.
What's
I'm
that?
gonna care. I'm gonna care because I set that goal.
Are you going to demonstrate that you care?
Um, I don't know what you mean by demonstrating, but maybe voicing my opinion on it, yes.
Okay. All right. Nice.
I will say one thing.
Yes.
I think it might have been a bad month to set a goal for 60.
What?
Majority of
Now you're
people
starting to sound like a woman.
Listen, majority of people have been telling me they're going on vacation and they won't be there.
Who goes on vacation the first week in December? Vacation is the latter part.
Who cares?
The other part of the people.
And who cares? Like, I'm guaranteeing in Shipshe, there's more than 60 people that aren't going to be on vacation.
Yeah.
So this is what, I struggle with. Should I be patient? No. So should I be patient with Mary Jo? Or should I just,
Why are you asking that? Why are you asking if you should be patient with Mary Jo?
because we just went through the white paper and I want to make sure that,
Oh.
and then should I go ahead and say what I'm thinking? Like, should I say, this is the problem I have with women? There's always a reason. There's always a reason why you don't, achieve goals. We shouldn't have set the goal in the first place because it wasn't an easy goal. It's a hard goal. You want me to work at it, Mark?
I did get a couple people to say they were going to be there in January, though.
Okay. So good. So good. Do they know anybody in their life that's not going on vacation? That'd be a good question. Are those people all ticked off at you because you're going to Florida and they have to stay in the cold? Like, wouldn't it be cool to invite those people to come? So there's just reflex. So, like, there's one of the DNA for Life's natural laws, and it's walls of opportunities. So when you have a wall of opportunity, what do? You go over the wall, under, the left, to the right, blow it up, tear it down somehow, some way, going to make a breakthrough. The bigger the wall, the thicker the wall, the harder it is to make the breakthrough, the more important it is to make the breakthrough. And this is why this is why in an organization you give a job that nobody else can do. These will often get, discouraged. If you tell one of these three personalities, you're not going to achieve your goal, they'll believe you and they'll be like, okay. Not necessarily, not all the time, but a lot of time. You tell a driver you can't do something and immediately they can. They love it. It's like a dog on a bone. It's like, give me the hardest thing that nobody else can do and I'll do it. So what I realized in this here is, people, there's not a question. Why is my goal important to myself and others? So we want to feel good. So Mary Jo is thinking, well, it just makes the goal harder, which is more exciting. That's going to mean we're going to have to work smarter, harder. We're going to have to make bigger sacrifices. We're going to have to go ahead and, the people that aren't going to Florida, Rosanna, what are they doing? They're going on, Christmas retreats to nice houses. Like, really? Is there nobody working?
So for those drivers that are a tendency to complete their goals more so than the other personalities, because I don't fall in that category. I can make a goal, but I, a lot of time don't follow through with it, or else I'll make it easy enough so it is. So that'll encourage me to continue making goals. Is there something I can do to become more like the driver, to follow through on those goals?
Yeah, it's a great question. So the the driver will probably miss more of their goals. The driver will probably miss more of their goals than the others, because they often set what they call BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goals. So they set goals that are impossible to reach. And so they'll miss their goals. Like, my philosophy in life is, if you hit every one of your goals all the time, it's really simple. You haven't really set that high of goals. So I set goals that are impossible to reach most of the time. But that motivates, inspires me. So the other personalities, I've got to be considerate of them. So the first thing you have to teach people is, don't come up with reasons and excuses why, you didn't hit your goal of 60. Because
My
as soon
thought
as we
is,
go ahead.
my thought is a little bit, just because it's obviously you're the driven personality. My thought is thinking this through, man, if I make the goal so big, if I'm not going to reach it anyhow, why even start to work toward it?
Right.
Because
So
that
that,
makes you hit other goals that you didn't think that you would accomplish if your goal wasn't high enough.
so in your business, if you,
True.
would you rather set a goal of, 250, thousand in income in your business and hit, 200, or would you rather set a goal of a 100,000 and hit 100,000?
Well, no, my thought was different. Like if I set it for 250, I was like, well, I'm not going to hit it. I'm not even going to try toward it. So if I set it for 100, and if I think I'll hit it, at least I'll hit 100.
Right. So you'd rather set a goal for 100 and hit 100.
That's the way my mind
Yeah.
thinks.
And it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. So for
I'd rather
you,
not, but that's just the way it works because I know the other one's more beneficial.
at least you're self-aware. Most people aren't. So for you, the validation, you would rather make $100,000 less and feel good than make $100,000 more and feel bad. I think at the end of every goal setting time, whether it's a year or a decade or a month or a week or a day or an hour, at the end of every goal, period of time, you should always feel good and you should always feel bad. Because if feeling good gives you some hope into the future, feeling bad helps you to grow. So the amiable personality, I often learn, don't praise them because they'll actually buy into their praise. Like Ben, you know, our 25-year-old son, when he was 7, he wanted to be a professional speaker, like since he was 4 years old. Dad, when can I be a professional speaker? Buddy, it's pretty hard. Dad. Finally, at 7, he got his opportunity to be a professional speaker. And he did some local stuff. And, I think he started, when he may be 5 years old, 6 years old, something like that. And, when you have a 5 or 6 year old speaking, it's pretty impressive. Like they don't have to be really good because they're 5 or 6. And but he had a big speaking engagement. I mean, it was a big one. It was out in Portland, Oregon, and he went ahead and was part of a speaking group, and they paid $5,000 to speak at a big event. And then they flew out 7 people, and they paid for that, paid for the hotel, paid for everything. I mean, this probably cost the association probably 15 grand. And so he's 7 years old. And I'm like, this is different speaking at a totally different level. And it was funny because, I'm pushing him and he doesn't like being pushed as a 7-year-old. And he's like, Dad, this is not how you motivate me. And it's like the amiable is so freaking arrogant. It's unbelievable. Like, as a 7-year-old, he thinks he knows a lot. And then he had so much skill that he got his mom and all his siblings to side up with him. And they're like, Roseanne's like, I think you're being a little hard on him. Am I, honey? Because I don't think he's understanding what's at stake here. But me being the great husband and father that I am, I submit. I say, okay. So we had a little practice run in front of 15 or about 30 people, and he went and spoke. And he and his younger brother both spoke, and man, they were pathetic. Holy cow, were they pathetic? It wasn't, yeah. But what did all the adults tell him after they spoke?
It's fantastic. Great job.
Yeah. So they lied to him.
That goes back to the patience
Right.
paper because isn't that I think I saw that the amiable is likes to be
Right.
yeah, what you said, and the other one or the driver needs the Navy SEAL, and the expressive is sort of the accountability, and the analytic was I forget what that one was.
Yeah. So they're the teacher.
Oh yeah, the teacher.
So the amiable thinks they're really nice. They're not. They're just selfish little buggers. They tell everybody what they want to hear. and everybody tells them what they want to hear, and they're such a nice person. They're really not. I mean, obviously, the people, the amiables in my life are super nice. I'm not talking about them. I'm just saying amiables in general. They're little nasty buggers. They really are. Anyways, so Melissa, I don't know, she's a teenager. And I said, hey, honey, dad obviously isn't doing a good job in coaching your brother. So she was trained by my international speaking coach, Linda Breakall. She had done professional speaking. I said, you be his coach. And so after the event, I said, hey, great guy. Yeah, you guys are awesome. This is awesome. And, let's go out for ice cream and celebrate. So we did that. The next day, Melissa comes up. She says, Dad, I can't do it. I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, Ben won't listen to me. So she's probably 17. He's 7. I'm like, what do you mean he won't listen to you? You're his coach. And she's like, yeah. And I said, why? And she said, because he says, I don't need to listen to you. Dad said I did a good job. So I submitted to a 7-year-old, my wife and all my kids, and it didn't work. It didn't work. And so in goal setting, it's like understanding why is it important. So there's almost like a laziness emotionally that the amiable has, that the analytic has, that the expressive has. There's almost like they know how to go ahead and game the system and get other people to do the work. Like Tom Sawyer, and Huckleberry Finn, when he gets his friends to, do his work, and they pay him to do his work. That's what these three types, they know how to game the system, but when you get in business, it's harder to do that. Maybe impossible. So if you don't understand, like you're not doing it to achieve the goal, you're doing it for the experiencing, you're doing it for the journey. You're going to be harder on yourself if you set a higher goal and you don't reach it. You just don't allow yourself to go ahead and get discouraged. Like I can't, and being able to understand it. Questions? So if we all want to live significant lives. This is what's weird. We want to live significant lives, but we don't do significant things. It's weird. The next podcast is going to be great on identity. And wow. Like, I can't believe I didn't know the importance of identity for 60 years of my life. Like I didn't understand, it's like the foundation for your life vision. Without identity, it's like you have nothing that you're building it on. So if your goals are not important to you, if you don't have to achieve them, if you don't, you're like, my life depends on it. So in sales and sales training and mentoring, I would say, you have a goal of reaching, 50 phone calls a day, let's say. And, you don't meet it. So you'll always come up with a reason. You know how to overcome the reason. And people go, no. And I said, what you do is you trick your mind. You visualize somebody, think of the person you love the most. Got that person? They'll say, yeah. Somebody kidnapped them and said, if you don't make 50 calls today, you'll never see that person again. Would you make 50 phone calls? You would. So this right here is, why is the goal important to myself and others? And it's not the goal itself, it's the principle behind the goal. And so if we want to be significant, we have to do significant things. We have to do significant things. We can't be lazy, like, well, if I'm not going to reach my goal, I'm not even going to try. That's just lazy. It's just being lazy. It just is. So we're not going to achieve our full potential. We just won't. Which, that's a choice each one of us get to make. Any questions on the GAR system? So when you go ahead and set a goal that you don't have significant, trick your mind into thinking it's significant, you go after it like crazy and you achieve your goal, you'll be like, I never thought I could achieve it. If you don't achieve your goal, but you gave it 110%, you're going to go ahead and feel great about yourself. You're going to learn things. When you set a goal that you think is insignificant, but you act as if it is significant, like life altering, and then all of a sudden something becomes that you thought was insignificant, didn't have any value, and it becomes significant. Now all of a sudden you open your mind to a whole nother world where it's like, holy cow, how many things am I doing on a daily basis that I think are insignificant, but they could be significant if I chose to make them significant. Like it's like when you understand the mind and how the mind functions and how, like, what we're really designed to do, what we're really designed to become, is just crazy. So hopefully this has been helpful. Always remember we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.